Red and blue lights strobe across my windshield as a tow truck's winch screams, and my car lifts off the driveway, front tires dangling like bait. A clipboard guy in a neon vest slaps a bright orange notice on my door: HOA seizure, unpaid fines. I sprint out barefoot, yelling, and he doesn't even look up. Daily penalties. $150 a day. Lien filed this morning, he says like he's reading a weather report. Then Marla Voss steps out from behind the truck, smiling. Relax, she purrs. By tonight, your house won't be yours. Antagonist intro. Marla Voss, HOA president, orders vehicle impound, claims emergency authority under CC, and R's mentions board vote that never happened. Motive control plus quiet financial extraction. Estimated words 220 background woven. One line about narrator inheriting home. Marla Voss didn't introduce herself. She gave orders. Finished the impound, she snapped heels planted on my gravel, like she owned it, one manicured finger slicing the air toward my car. The tow operator nodded and kept cranking the winch. She turned to me only after the tires cleared the ground. You're in violation of emergency HOA enforcement under the CC and Rs, she said, voice calm, practice deadly certain. We had a board vote last night. I asked which board members were present. She smiled and didn't answer. Marla was immaculate in that way only certain HOA presidents manage, pressed blazer tablet tucked under her arm. Expression trained to signal authority even when she had none. She spoke fast, confident, weaponizing acronyms and legal-sounding phrases like she'd memorized them for moments like this. Unregistered vehicle, improper use of driveway, hostile conduct toward association representatives, she rattled off, scrolling. Each item carried a fine, each fine stacked daily. When I mentioned I'd just inherited the house and was still sorting paperwork, she waved it away. Ownership changes don't pause compliance, she said. If anything, they make enforcement easier. That was the tell. Not anger, not pettiness, efficiency. This wasn't about rules or neighborhood harmony. This was about pressure. Fast, overwhelming, expensive pressure, applied before a homeowner could breathe, ask questions, or realize what was happening. As the truck rolled off with my car, Marla leaned closer and lowered her voice. Most people pay before they think, she said, and the ones who don't, she smiled again, they lose. The fines started the next morning like clockwork. A white envelope taped to my door. $150 improper vehicle storage. No explanation beyond a grainy photo of my empty driveway taken from the street, time-stamped 6:12 a.m. By noon, another notice hit my inbox. $150, failure to correct prior violation, same photo, same angle, different excuse. By day 3, Marla's system was fully awake. New violations appeared without warning: trash cans visible, too long weeds. I didn't have a porch light allegedly left on past approved hours. Each one carried the same quiet threat at the bottom: daily fines accrue until resolved. I caught her volunteer compliance team circling the block in a golf cart, phones held up, snapping pictures through my windows. When I stepped outside, they turned away like startled birds, then posted again from the corner. No knock, no notice. Just documentation, manufactured in real time. The neighborhood changed fast. People who'd waved the week before suddenly found reasons to cross the street. One neighbor whispered, HOA says you're under enforcement, like it was contagious. Another warned me, eyes darting, that Marla had told everyone I was non-compliant and likely to drag property values down with him. By the end of the week, I owed $1,050 in fines for violations I hadn't been allowed to fix. That's when I noticed the pattern. None of the notices explained how to comply, only how much it would cost not to. And buried in the last envelope was a new line I hadn't seen before. Failure to cure may result in lien proceedings. The tone shifted the moment the certified letters arrived. Bright green slips in my mailbox. Signature required. Each envelope heavier than the last, thicker with legal language and bolded deadlines. The fines were no longer listed one by one. They were bundled, totaled, and escalated. $3,900 due immediately. $150 per day continuing. A new phrase appeared everywhere: failure to cure within 30 days will result in lien action. This wasn't Marla freelancing anymore. This was the system. Every letter cited the CC and Rs. Page numbers included paragraphs, selectively quoted like scripture. The margins were clean professional, unmistakably written by someone who billed by the hour. And at the bottom of each notice, right beneath Marla's digital signature, sat a new name. Counsel for the Association. I looked him up. Real firm, real office, retainer-level confidence. His email was CC'd on every message now, like a loaded gun left on the table during a conversation. No threats spelled out. No need. The implication did all the work. I called the HOA office once, just once. The receptionist transferred me, then dumped me straight to voicemail. Marla's recorded message was calm, almost cheerful. All enforcement questions must be submitted in writing. Phone calls will not cause fines. By day 14, the number crossed $6,000. By day 21, the letters stopped asking. They started notifying. One sentence froze my stomach in place. Upon lien filing, the association may pursue foreclosure remedies, as permitted by law. Foreclosure. Over fines I couldn't contest, violations I couldn't verify, a clock I couldn't stop. That's when I understood the real design. The HOA wasn't trying to win an argument or enforce rules. It was creating a paper trail so dense, so expensive to fight, that most people would fold before ever seeing a courtroom. And judging by how smoothly it ran, I wasn't the first one this machine had processed. I stopped trying to argue with the HOA and started pulling records. County filings were public, slow, boring. Exactly the kind of place people like Marla assumed no one would ever look. I spent an afternoon at the clerk's office scrolling through HOA financial disclosures, reserve statements, and annual reports filed under penalty of perjury. That's when the numbers stopped lining up. According to the HOA's own reports, reserve funds were shrinking fast, tens of thousands gone, year over year, even though dues had increased, and emergency enforcement fines like mine were supposedly pouring in. Maintenance expenses stayed flat. No major repairs, no capital projects, just money evaporating. Then I noticed something stranger. Fine revenue wasn't going into the main HOA account. Buried in a supplemental filing was a second account labeled Compliance Recovery Services, private, off books, not disclosed to homeowners. I followed the routing number and felt my pulse spike. The account was controlled by an LLC registered to a PO. Box 2 counties over. The managing officer's name jumped off the screen. Marla Voss. Not the HOA, not the board, her. I pulled the meeting minutes next to the ones she'd cited every time she said the board voted. Only they hadn't. Dates didn't match. Attendance lists repeated names of members who'd sold their homes years earlier. One set of minutes referenced fines approved at a meeting that, according to the community calendar, never happened. Someone had forged the paper trail. The final punch landed when I requested the HOA's reserve bank statements directly. The balance was supposed to be just under $400, 000. The actual number was barely 5 figures. Transfers out, cash withdrawals, consulting fees, all routed through that same LLC. This wasn't aggressive enforcement. It wasn't overzealous compliance. It was extraction. Marla wasn't punishing rule breakers. She was manufacturing violations, accelerating fines, and funneling the money into a private account fast enough that homeowners panicked paid and never asked where it went. The lien threats weren't the endgame. They were leverage. I sat there staring at the screen, the weight of it finally sinking in. If she'd done this to me in less than a month, how many others had she squeezed quietly over the years? And if the board minutes were fake, the fines illegal, and the money stolen, then the lien she was about to file against my house wasn't just abusive. It was criminal. I stopped trying to solve it alone and started paying for gravity. The property attorney didn't flinch when I laid everything out. She listened, took notes, then said her rate, without apology, $400 an hour. It felt obscene coming out of my bank account, but this wasn't about saving money anymore. This was about stopping a machine. She told me to stop responding to the HOA entirely and to let her handle every word from here on out. Her first move wasn't a lawsuit. It was verification. She walked the filings straight to the county clerk instead of emailing. 10 minutes later, the clerk's expression changed. Signatures didn't match. Notary stamps repeated across different dates, meeting minutes attached to filings that required board approval, without proof the board ever met. The clerk flagged the packet internally and stamped the copies irregular under review. That stamp mattered. By the end of the day, my attorney drafted a demand letter and sent it certified to every board member, not just Marla. It outlined fiduciary duty breaches, illegal fine escalation, forged minutes, undisclosed accounts, and potential personal liability. No drama, no threats, just statutes, dates, and consequences. The last line was surgical. All lien activity must cease immediately pending investigation. For the first time since this started, the fines didn't arrive the next morning, and the silence told me exactly how hard that letter had landed. The dam didn't break quietly. It exploded. At 7:03 a.m., my attorney sent one email to every homeowner on the association list, all 612 of them, with the subject line, Urgent HOA, Financial Irregularities, and Lien Risk. Attached were bank statements, side-by-side comparisons of forged board minutes, screenshots of the private LLC account, and a simple explanation of what fiduciary duty actually means when it's violated. No commentary, just evidence. By 7:11, my phone started buzzing. By 7:20, Marla's Facebook group went dark. The first whistleblower came forward before noon. A board member I'd never met called my attorney, directly voice, shaking, asking for protection. He admitted Marla controlled all finances, prepared all minutes herself, and told the board the lawyer handled the legal stuff. He forwarded emails where she explicitly instructed him to rubber stamp votes after the fact. That was the point of no return. At 2:00 p.m., an official notice hit every inbox: emergency HOA meeting, mandatory attendance. Agenda item 1, financial clarification. Agenda item 2, executive authority review. Marla's name wasn't on the sender line. For the first time since this started, she wasn't controlling the room, and judging by how fast that meeting was called, she knew exactly what was coming. The community center hit capacity before the meeting even started. People lined the walls, spilled into the hallway, stood shoulder to shoulder, with arms crossed and jaws tight. The air buzzed, not angry, yet just electric. When Marla took the front seat, she didn't look out at the crowd. She stared straight ahead, fingers locked together, already bracing. She opened fast. Too fast. "I'm calling this meeting to order," and immediately moving to executive session, she said, gavel snapping down. "Financial matters are confidential under the CC and Rs." Boos erupted. Someone shouted, "You don't get to hide anymore." Marla ignored it, voice rising, repeating procedure like an incantation. "This meeting is adjourned. Any further discussion is unauthorized." That's when the doors opened. A county official stepped in, badge clipped to his belt folder under his arm. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. "This meeting will continue," he said evenly. "By order of the county clerk. We have filings to address." The room went dead silent. Marla finally turned around, and for the first time she didn't look in control. The county official nodded to my attorney, and she didn't hesitate. The screen behind us lit up. First slide: bank statements, clean, undeniable. HOA dues and fines flowing in, then draining out into a private account labeled Compliance Recovery Services. My attorney let the room sit with it. "This account is not disclosed in any HOA filings," she said, "and it is not owned by the association." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Next slide. Audio. Marla's voice filled the room, sharp and unmistakable. "Just flag it as non-compliance. Daily fines. They'll pay before they ask questions." You could hear papers rustling, someone laughing quietly in the background. The timestamp glowed in the corner of the screen. Marla shot to her feet. "That recording is illegal. Colorado is one-party consent," the county official cut in. "Continue." The final drop landed like a hammer. Lien filings, dates, signatures, notary stamps reused across different documents. My attorney highlighted the inconsistencies, one by one, then stopped. "These liens are invalid," she said, "filed without lawful board authorization, which means every foreclosure threat based on them was unlawful." The room erupted. People stood shouting questions, demands, disbelief. Homeowners flipped through printed copies, recognizing their own addresses. Marla didn't speak. She just stared at the screen, watching 15 years of control collapse in real time. Marla tried to speak, but the room had already moved past her. One board member stood, then another. The whistleblower raised his hand and said, voice steady now, "I motion for immediate removal under Section 4.3 breach of fiduciary duty." Someone seconded it instantly. No gavel, no speech, Just hands raised across the room faster than Marla could count. The vote wasn't close. It was overwhelming. The county official stepped forward as the noise settled. Effective immediately, all liens filed by this HOA are void, he announced. They were improperly authorized and illegally recorded. A collective exhale swept the room, relief so loud it felt physical. Marla backed away from the table, shaking her head, whispering that this wasn't how it worked, that she ran this place. No one answered. 2 deputies approached, calm, professional. One gestured toward the exit. She didn't resist. She just looked around, stunned as the power she'd wielded for years evaporated in silence. The doors closed behind her, and for the first time the room felt honest. The room didn't explode into cheers. It softened. People started talking in low voices, then crossing aisles, then stopping in front of me with uncomfortable looks that turned into quiet apologies. I should have asked questions. I'm sorry I believed her. We didn't know how bad it was. The tension that had lived in the space for years drained out in real time, like pressure releasing from a sealed valve. Neighbors who hadn't made eye contact in months suddenly stood shoulder to shoulder, comparing notices, shaking their heads, realizing they weren't isolated incidents, they were a pattern. When the meeting adjourned, I walked home instead of driving. No tow truck, no clipboard, no neon warning taped to my door. Inside the house felt different, not bigger, not newer, just quieter. I set my keys on the counter and realized my shoulders weren't tight for the first time in weeks. No clock ticking, no fines accruing overnight, just space. Outside voices drifted through the open window, normal voices, neighbors talking again. The machine was off. The county official cleared his throat and stayed at the front of the room, flipping to the final page of the packet like this part mattered just as much as the takedown. Before we adjourn, he said these corrective measures are being entered into record now. Chairs scraped as people leaned in. The new interim board was named on-the-spot volunteers pulled from homeowners who hadn't touched HOA finances before tonight. No speeches, no applause, just acceptance. Then the rules changed out loud so everyone heard them at the same time. Any fine over minor maintenance now required a 75% supermajority vote of homeowners, not a board email chain. No daily accruals without a cure period. No liens without an external review. Finally, the line that drew the strongest reaction: mandatory independent audits every year conducted by a firm with no ties to the board summaries, mailed to every household. You could feel the shift power dragged out of back rooms and dropped into daylight. Someone behind me whispered, "She never would have survived this." Pens scratched as people took photos of the page proof in their pockets. This wasn't revenge. It was structure, the kind that made sure no one like Marla could ever run the same play again. I didn't leave the building when everyone else did. I stayed, borrowed the folding table at the front, and filled out the lien release forms myself, slow, careful, making sure every address matched every parcel number, clean. The county official watched, then nodded once and handed me the stamped copies. When I slid the stack into certified envelopes and pressed them into the outgoing tray, the clerk brought the stamp down hard. Received. The sound echoed sharper than the gavel ever had. That was the moment it felt finished. Not when Marla was escorted out, not when the votes were counted, but when the paper trail reversed direction and the damage started healing instead of spreading. Outside dusk settled over the desert in soft layers, the heat finally loosening its grip. Porch lights blinked on across the neighborhood, not in fear of inspections, just habit. I stood there a second longer, breathing in the quiet, realizing the place hadn't changed at all, only who held the power had. And for the first time since this started, the silence felt earned.
Looking back, the win wasn't what mattered most. What stayed with me was how close this could have gone in the opposite direction. If I'd reacted on instinct, anger, pride, the urge to hit back, this would have ended with lawyers, richer neighbors divided, and me no better off than where I started. The only reason it didn't spiral was because every step stayed inside the lines. The process slowed things down. It forced facts to matter more than emotion. That restraint changed everything. There's a sharp line between standing up for yourself and losing yourself to escalation. I felt that pull every day while the fines stacked up and the threats got louder. It's tempting to think strength means pushing harder, louder, faster. But what actually worked was patience, backed by proof. Documents don't raise their voices. Timelines don't get personal. Evidence doesn't need to intimidate anyone to be effective. Once things crossed into the legal arena, anger stopped being useful and honesty became impossible to ignore. If there's anything practical I took from this, it's that clarity is built long before confrontation. I didn't win because I was clever. I won because records existed, filings were public, and professionals knew where to look. Paper trails matter. Dates matter. Knowing when a situation is bigger than a personal dispute matters. Sometimes the smartest move isn't responding right away. It's pausing long enough to let the right people see what's actually happening. Not to fight for you, but to verify what you already know. Communities don't stay healthy because everyone agrees. They stay healthy because power has limits and sunlight reaches the corners where abuse likes to hide. That's what keeps neighborhoods from turning into pressure cookers. When I think about all of this now, I don't picture the meeting or the votes. I picture that quiet moment afterward, the stamped paper, the door closing, the evening settling back into itself. No sirens, no shouting, just a place returning to what it was supposed to be all along.